Welcome back to the Gen Z Speaks podcast. It has been, seems like forever since we last did this. How long has it been? 2.5 weeks? 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
Yeah, our apologies for the inconsistency. We've all just been swamped, but let's do this. Let's dive right in. With me, my usual co-hosts, as you can see, Matt Gutierrez. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Just working on some projects, trying to get out of the swamp.
Get out of the swamp. What is the swamp? Are you fucking Shrek?
What's
Are you
Bro,
Shrek?
you don't get it, man. The swamp, as in like he said, we were swamped, and so I'm trying to get out of the swamp.
Okay.
Wow.
Sounded like you were living in
Hey,
it.
beautiful wordplay right there. Beautiful wordplay.
The other co-host who interjected meanly, Jenish Thanky, how you doing?
Good, fine, man. I thought he was talking about like Shrek or something. He's gonna get out of the swamp or something. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah,
I'm doing great though, man. Having a fantastic week.
that's good. It's good to hear. We've got a lot of topics to discuss. The elections that just happened on Tuesday, the name change of Facebook to Meta, and a variety of other topics. But let me just start off with a quintessential question, Jenish. How does it feel to be from a home country that lost to my home country by 10 wickets? If for those of you who don't know, we're talking about cricket. The World Cup is happening, which is the biggest thing in all of cricket. And my country, Pakistan, and his country, India, have one of the biggest rivalries, and we just beat them by 10 wickets for the first time in 70 years. We had never beaten India in a World Cup game before this year. And now we're undefeated on our way to the semifinals while India continues to lose. So I just wanted to get this moment because I don't know if I'll get it again. How does it feel, Jenish?
I mean, I'm fine, man. After 7 years of winning, it's sometimes you gotta just let the other guy have a chance. I just feel kind of bad for you guys at the end of the day. Like,
but 10 wickets basically means they lost by like, I don't know, in basketball terms, like 50. They lost.
Yeah,
by
like we gave you guys that game. We as a collective, as a country, as a collective unit, we were like, let them. We don't want to wage this war too much. We don't want to keep beating you guys. So we're all about unity, trying to make India and Pakistan come back together. So we want to let you guys win, experience how it feels like to win. And I hope you guys are enjoying the moment.
Whatever helps you sleep better at night, Jenish. That's whatever helps you.
I mean, I'm just speaking straight facts, but yeah.
You're not spinning facts, but okay. You might be actually. We've done pretty bad in the past, but all right. So let's dive into the election results. So on Tuesday, off-year elections happen in states like Virginia, New Jersey, and a couple others. And Democrats suffered a lot of losses. In Virginia, they lost the governorship. And again, as a reminder, Joe Biden won Virginia by 10 points. And the governor, the Republican candidate, won by 2 points. And the New Jersey governor, Phil Murphy, he won by 1.6 points. And again, Joe Biden won that state by 16 points. And this happened in local election races as well in New York City. On the local level, a lot of Democrats lost their seats. Interestingly enough, let me tell you guys something interesting. So the New Jersey State Senate president, right? He lost his district to a truck driver in New Jersey who had never run for any political office. He spent like $400 on his whole campaign. And he filmed his entire campaign video on his smartphone. And he beat the guy, the second top most Democrat in the state, who was, again, like I said, the state Senate president. And the guy in Virginia who beat the incumbent, not the incumbent governor. So there was Terry McAuliffe, who was the Democrat seeking to be Virginia's governor. He had been Virginia's governor from 2014 to 2018. And this guy, Republican guy, Glenn, I'm blanking on his last name, but this Republican guy who had never run for office in the past, I believe he was in financing, and he was just a wealthy guy, a political outsider, and he won too. So my point is, a lot of political outsiders on the Republican part, on the Republican side, won. What do you guys think about this? I mean, we did expect Democrats to lose some seats, but not to the extent that they did, especially in Virginia, because as I said, Biden won that state by 10 points, but now the Republicans control the governorship. So what are your thoughts?
I'll let you speak on it first, Matt. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, for sure. So I think what's happening is, so obviously I don't think, I think what happened with the Joe Biden election is people were unhappy with Trump's original plot and like how everything exceeded or ended up falling through the last year, right? And so what I think is happening, people decided to vote Joe Biden in, hoping there was a better plot in place. Unfortunately, I don't think that much better things are happening right now. I think people are still disappointed in the way things are rolling out. And I think that's a result of how the Democrats are playing out in these states.
I think I have a comment just to make about the guy who won, who was not even like in the political scene at all. I think we're gonna see a lot more of that, just in general, throughout the next 10, 20, 100 years, because I feel like people are kind of seeing through the disingenuous nature of like our political leaders that we have right now. You kind of just you can kind of just tell even when they're speaking that they're just speaking how they want to be perceived as just to get the votes. It's nothing is like genuine right now. And that's why when someone is actually like genuine and this guy, that's what I mean. Like when you just pull up with a smartphone and you just record it, that's like as genuine as you can get. There's no like, you don't have a massive production team, $1 million into ads and stuff. You just have a smartphone and you're just, you just record yourself and that's just genuine. And whatever his message, I didn't see what his message was or any of his ads, but whatever his message was got through the public.
Yeah, Jenish, I think you're 100% right, man. I think like this genuity that's going on right now is just it's skyrocketing. People are realizing. I think what happens is we're all on social media, right? And we kind of see how people act and how people are like disingenuous as is. And then you go ahead and you look at politics and people are acting still disingenuous, and you can kind of like point that out more easily. It's obvious now, and it's annoying because you just see them say the same thing term after term after term, and you don't see any real changes, and then people continue to say the same things to make people happy. But unfortunately, it's like how the cookie crumbles. If people keep saying the same things and nothing's happening, people aren't going to trust you as much anymore.
Yeah, so on the last point when you said that they keep talking about the same thing, so I work at a political consulting firm, and this morning what I had to kind of do is analyze the Facebook ads of Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat who was running for Virginia's governorship, and then Glenn Youngkin, who was running for the Republican on the Republican side. And one thing that I noticed was that on the Democrat side, Terry McAuliffe, a lot of his ads focused on Trump. And Trump is not the president anymore, but again, he remains, popular on the Republican side. And what he was kind of saying is that, Glenn Youngkin, he's been endorsed by Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is using him as like a pawn to like launch his 2024 nomination. Point is, Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat in Virginia, was overusing Trump. That's number one thing that I noticed. And second thing that I noticed was the Terry McAuliffe, the Glenn Youngkin guy was actually not talking about he was actually talking about issues like that Virginians were facing, and the Democrat guy was kind of just bringing up Trump often. In all the ads that I saw, a lot of the ads that I saw, they were consistently just talking about Trump and how divisive he was in January 6th insurrection. We all know Trump is bad and January 6th was bad, but I feel like the public is at a point where we're kind of just tired about hearing Trump and anything related to him. And we kind of just want to focus on the issues, things that actually matter. And the idea that this, Glenn Youngkin guy who had never had public office before, I think it, like you guys said, it probably plays a role in terms of how people perceive of a certain candidate. Again, this other guy, Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat in Virginia, he had already been governor of Virginia from 2014 to 2018. And so I think it's a sign, like you said, Jenish, that people are tired of seeing incumbent politicians run for office again and again. It kind of brings me to this. I don't know if this happened 2 or 3 weeks ago, but Andrew Yang came out with a new political party. He's calling it the Forward Party, and left, right, forward. That's kind of like his logic behind it. But I actually think that it's things like that that are going to change the political status quo. Even though Andrew Yang, I don't know how successful this party is going to be. Obviously, the odds are stacked against him. But if he truly wants to build it in, if he really wants to invigorate the independent voters, I think I agree with his mission in that. But so what do you guys think about his new political party? Like, do you think it's gonna be any success, or do you think he's just doing a publicity stunt for his new book, which is also called Forward?
So just kind of going back to one thing before we go to Andrew Ng's party. I think the whole thing with like you know politicians and stuff is that it just feels like a lot of the existing politicians are just too focused on the politics of being a politician, if that makes sense. They're not really like you said, they're not focused on the issues at all, or like whatever the problems that people are facing. They're more focused on the politics. Like you said, the governor is mentioning just Trump. He's trying to, vilify the Republican Party with Trump and stuff, rather than saying, hey, what are some of the problems we're having in the state? What are some issues we can solve? It's not problem oriented. It's like politics oriented and vote oriented. That's the mindset that's gonna pretty much drag down all these like politicians that are in it just to have a job, not because they actually want to solve problems and affect the world in a good way.
Yeah, I think like the whole thing. Okay, so another thing, I think the whole problem with, not the problem, but the whole forward aspect of Andrew Yang's like new plan is, I think it's good. I think like the whole left and right thing, I'm totally over it. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm just over both sides. I have no issue saying like I don't classify myself as a Democrat. I don't classify myself as a Republican. I just look at policies and then I decide what I like and what I don't like. I don't like to be classified by parties that continue to politicize everything. Like everything in this world is being politicized, and it's exhausting to continue to hear how basic parts of life are being politicized. And I'm either a Democrat or I'm a Republican, and this is why I'm wrong or this is why I'm right. And it's just like, no, this is what I believe in, and this is what I'm go ahead and say. And so I'm over that. I don't know much about the forward policy, but I'm glad that there's like some outreach to something new, because it's just exhausting at this point.
Yeah, it's going back to Jennifer. How you said a lot of politicians are out of touch with people. As I was analyzing these Facebook ads, Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat who was running for governor in Virginia, who lost, he actually ran a couple of ads that kind of touted his endorsement from the Washington Post's editorial board. The thing is, like, nobody cares about the Washington Post's editorial board's opinion about who they endorsed or who they didn't, right? And then his campaign was talking about Taylor Swift and how Glenn Youngkin somehow screwed over Taylor Swift or something like that. Point is, so many of these politicians are a lot of like kind of wannabes, and they kind of just like use every single target, every single issue that they can find to attack the other person in a very dishonest way. And it's the only thing that they have in mind is to get as many votes as they can and maintain office. I don't think another problem, in my opinion, again, is that public office really shouldn't be like financially lucrative. Like if you look at a pay of a member of Congress currently, it's $165,000, and when you retire or when you're not in Congress, you go work for a lobbying group or anything other than that. And like the people who actually work for those politicians who actually do the brunt of the work, they make around like $40,000 or $50,000. My point is, it's not really public service because you're getting paid so much money for basically doing nothing. Like, what do you do as a member of Congress if you're not passing legislation? Like just a bunch of public, headlines, public attacks, like just like
It's like a social hierarchy.
So it's not all politicians. Some of them actually are there for good reasons, in my opinion. But a lot of them seem to just do it because I guess I don't know, it's a power thing. It's like you said, maybe it's a social status thing. They want to be known, or maybe they just like to be in a room of power. I don't know what it is, but
it's a combination. It's like power, money. It's like a combination of everything. You meet like powerful people. Obviously, you have power because these like if you're at Congress, for example, like these company CEOs are coming to you lobbying for whatever they want to get passed. That hence you have power, right? And then obviously you're making good money, so it's like a combination of a lot of things. That's what makes it lucrative, but it shouldn't be lucrative in that way. It should be lucrative in terms of like, hey, I want to help the American people.
Right. Real quick. So the whole Youngkin thing, and I was reading about it, and it seems like, so Youngkin's obviously Republican, right? And obviously, in order to receive some votes, he kind of has to adhere to, some of the Trump supporters. But he wasn't like overly doing it, right? But another thing that I noticed that he was doing, well, so according to the surveys, like I know surveys aren't super accurate and all, but according to surveys that they sent out, 8 out of 10 people were saying that he was not overdoing it. 1 out of 10 said he overdid it, and then 1 out of 10 people said he underdid it. But regardless, another thing he actually did do, and I don't see it happening often, is he tried to like go towards the moderate voters as well, trying to, even though he's Republican, saying that he's gonna provide some value to like the education system and actual issues that are important to like moderates and it's typically Democrats as well. So I thought that was interesting as well. He's not just, I mean, like you were saying, attacking the incumbent, right? But he was kind of facing policies that kind of not attack, but kind of deal with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think just like a better way to phrase this is he's more focused on policies that he actually cares about, rather than like, am I going to get the Republican vote or the Democratic vote?
Right. So okay, real quick, question that popped up. Do you think if the new guys that come up and they're trying to win office, do you think that by focusing on the policies that's enough to beat the incumbent? Because we've learned that 8 out of 10 times or 9 out of 10 times the incumbent is going to win. And doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter what they say, the incumbent's going to win. Do you think that speaking on the policies and straying away from all the noise is going to be enough to beat the incumbent?
So so good question, but it really just depends on what type of election race you're running. If you're running for something like governor, right, it's a combination of both. You can definitely run on a platform of policies and choose not to attack the other side. There's so many examples of recent politicians. I will give them some credit for this, like AOC. 2018, she beat the third highest Democrat out in the House of Representatives. And she did that by doing a really good job of getting together people by doing different town halls, speaking to communities about issues, policies, things that really, mattered to the district that she represents. I think she represents Queens and the Bronx or areas around those neighborhoods. And so she ran on a campaign of issues. And the only thing that she attacked the other guy was he was never around. He was always in Washington, D.C. Like, he never really talked to voters often because, like you said, incumbent, you get complacent, you're in there for decades and you kind of just like say, oh, I'm going to win anyways. Like, why should I even talk to or have these many town halls? And so you can definitely win, but you have to be an effective, obviously like a public speaker. You got to understand like how to bring people together, how to talk to people who disagree with you. So it's definitely doable. But again, it's not a utopia. So you definitely have to attack the other person in some way or shape. However may that be. Obama in 2012 and against Mitt Romney, he primarily, ran on issues, but he also attacked Mitt Romney. So it was a combination of the two. So, I mean, he didn't personally offend anyone. He just attacked him on his platform and issues. Our country's gone so polarized that it's all just personal attacks now, at least in national races that I've noticed. So,
yeah, I think in terms of like national races, it's much harder to not attack and just be a policy based because of like the two-party system that we have established. There's no like other option for the people, so you kind of have to attack the other party to make yourself like seem better. But in like governor races and like more local elections, I think you can be solely policy based and still have a good chance of winning.
But the thing is, like, I understand, like, you have to attack. No, I don't want to say attack, so I'm gonna use the word disprove. Why can't you just disprove what the other candidate is saying? Why does it have to result in? It's rhetorical. I understand why they're attacking the other candidate, right? But why can't it be, disproving their policies in order to win? Why can't it be saying, hey, this is why they're wrong, and this is why my idea might not be perfect, but it's probably a little better than theirs. You know what I mean? It's not. It's too. Like, it's straw man fallacy. That's all it is. They're just attacking the person and attacking instead of attacking the actual issue and what they're running against.
Can I be honest with you? Have you
please
remember Trump and Hillary? I remember the primaries. I don't know if you watch any of those primaries.
Of course.
They discuss like literally nothing regarding the topic. Like they would mention
the debates, topic? Not the like the debates.
Oh, right? Yeah, the debates. Sorry, yeah. The debates, not primaries. The debates, right? They talked nothing about the policy. Was just like oh, to get the conversation going. And then after that, it was just attacks. Because I feel like, dude, they gave like 2 minutes to talk about the policies. Like nobody's gonna talk about policies in 2 minutes and come up with like a resolution or even disprove. It takes like 5 minutes just to establish a policy argument, right?
That's,
So
in my opinion, that's a bad example, because if you have Donald Trump in the room, you're not going to talk about anything except for what he decides to talk about. Like, he was
that's true.
attacking Hillary on every single thing. I mean, if you guys remember, he brought out all the accusers that accused Bill Clinton of rape and sexual assault to a debate. And so that's like, he had no boundaries. And so, but you're right in that, like, I don't know if you guys noticed the most recent debate, 2020, Biden and, remember Trump in that one debate where they, it was a yelling match and they talked about nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing was talked about. It was all just yelling back
Who
and forth.
who called who a clown? I remember someone called someone a
Biden,
clown.
Biden
Biden
called
called
Trump
Trump.
a clown.
I
See, that's
remember
the
that.
thing. Like, Hillary wasn't, kind of, personally, I will give her credit for that, even though I'm not that big of a fan of Hillary. She wasn't like, attacking him constantly. Biden was just going at him afterwards. Like, he was like, shut up, man. Like, he was saying all these things. It was kind of like a boxing match, but with words, which was interesting to see. But
Yeah, but I think like just
I
like
hate to say interesting, man. It's not interesting. It's like it shouldn't really
I
be
think it's
happening,
interesting.
right?
I really think it's interesting because we're not learning from our mistakes, and it's interesting to me why that is. I mean, it's sad, but it's also interesting. The same thing keeps happening again and again, and I think people should actually watch our podcast or listen to with the guy, Christopher Federico. He was a professor at University of Minnesota, and we just talked about like the psychology of politics and what, you know why people make certain choices. I'll refer you. We can actually link it when we post this, but I think we've talked enough about this. Do you guys have
yeah.
any last words on this?
Not on
Uh
this.
no.
Go ahead, Janice. Real quick, we're gonna link the Chris Federico link as well. But we're also on Spotify now. If you don't want to jump on YouTube and jump up on your screen time, jump on Spotify, add our Gen Z Speaks podcast, and listen to it while you're in the car.
Yeah, it took us a long time to get there, but we got there. So yeah, you
That's all
can
that
listen to us
matters.
on Spotify. Just last thing on this recent election thing. One, I think one of the other reasons why Democrats lost was the Biden agenda is clearly not moving forward. The Democratic Party is not united at all. Senators Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin, they're kind of the most moderate people, I guess, the most conservative of the Democrats, and they're kind of holding up legislation because they don't agree with certain elements to it. And so people are recognizing that, and they see that the Democrats are not on the same page, and that is also why Democrats lost. And also, second thing, the incumbent party always loses in an off-year election, and this was bound to happen. But to the extent that it did, goes to show that the Biden's presidency, at least on the legislative side, needs to be much more successful for the Democrats to even have a chance next year in the midterms. So that's my last analysis, fleeting words. And what's
All
the
right.
next topic,
So
guys?
let's move on to
To Metaverse.
once again. No. Just
Oh.
before we move on there, I really want to talk about that. Just like a
Okay.
quick side topic, right? Pfizer this Friday actually released a COVID pill. I don't know if you guys heard, but pretty much for people, so mostly COVID's been not cured, but been taken care with either getting a vaccine or IVs in the hospital and stuff. But with this pill, you can give it to someone who's hospitalized, and they're saying, and in their studies, it shows that 89% of reduction in hospitalizations or death after a month of taking this pill. So out of the 770 people that took this pill, nobody died, right? That's good. And way few people were hospitalized. I think it was only like 5% that were hospitalized, even after the pill. So I mean, I guess it's some sort of alternative for people who don't want to be vaccinated because, they're scared of getting a vaccine. Maybe Kyrie might take this pill, who knows? So yeah, I mean, you guys think a pill is a good idea? Is maybe for people who don't want to get vaccinated or something?
People who are not getting vaccinated, they don't want anything in their bodies that's like made by Pfizer or any of these pharmaceutical companies. So I don't know if a pill will help. Maybe it might help elderly people. Again, I don't have any background on immunology, but it might help elderly people who, as we know, the booster shots, all of them have a certain window of immunity, and that when that expires, maybe the prescribed medicine is a better option than like consistently injecting yourself every 3 or 4 months. But yeah, really quickly, did you guys hear about Aaron Rodgers? Since we're on this topic about how
Yes, I am absolutely discouraged. I'm not discouraged because we are the GOAT team right now in the
one
league
second,
completely.
explain to them who Aaron Rodgers is, because some people.
Oh, all right, whatever. So Aaron Rodgers is, all-star QB. He's arguably the best in the league. So
Quarterback,
most people's
the NFL. You're
what?
using football terms, man. Come on.
I'm sorry.
He's the quarterback for the Packers in the National Football League, NFL.
Yeah, man. Okay. So yes, he is so Green Bay Packers out of Wisconsin. If you want to be specific here, he's arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. Most people say Tom Brady, but I am a Packers fan, diehard, and so I will say it's the GOAT, Aaron Rodgers. And he's been on a winning streak like nobody has been in a winning streak in the NFL right now. We're 7-1, and he just got COVID, and so the likeliness is that he will not play this Sunday. Jordan Love will have to take over, but I am still confident in our offense.
Okay, but you missed the most important part, the vaccine scandal that he's going through. Like he said.
Right.
You know about it? You know about that, right?
Yes, I'm just overly excited about
Just
it.
explain to him what's going on with him, because it's a pretty big story, actually.
So the whole story was that he didn't want to take the vaccine, right? Like, and he's playing the NFL even though it's mandated.
Yeah, but a reporter asked him a question in the summer, and he said, "Yeah, I've been immunized," but he was lying. Like, he wasn't lying. He wasn't being honest. He was
wordplay
because he never took the vaccine, and now he said he was immunized because he took some, like, I don't know. He did something that like increases immunization levels or something like that. But yeah, he's not vaccinated, and he's saying he feels like restrained, constrained, like his freedom is not there. And so, yeah, it's like these privileged guys who make like 30-40 million dollars, a year, and they're complaining about a stupid shot that all of us, like, not you. I mean, you need, so many people have immunizations. I mean, the polio vaccine, so many other stuff. I honestly fundamentally don't understand like Kyrie Irving or Aaron Rodgers. I don't understand why they refuse to get vaccinated. Like most of the team is already vaccinated. Like, what's gonna happen? Like,
I think it's an NFL mandate. I don't think it's not allowed. I think they have to do it, and he's refusing to, and obviously the wordplay thing.
Yeah,
I was watching.
Right.
This is like a side note. I was watching a Kanye West interview today. This is like a new one that just came out. And this dude said he was half vaccinated because he only got one shot. He didn't get the other one. I'm like, what? Like, what?
That's such a Kanye thing to do.
It's 70% efficient, man, taking one shot.
I mean,
wait, real quick. Okay, I want to talk about the COVID pill, and then something about the whole thing that's going around LA and SoCal. Okay, so real quick. So the COVID pill, I think so. I read that it's used for emergency purposes, right? It's not supposed to be like a replacement of the vaccine. But if you do get COVID and it turns out to be bad, you take the COVID pill, and then it's supposed to help you up. Tell me if I'm wrong on that.
No, so that might be another pill, because a lot of these companies are trying to make this pill. But the one Pfizer made is they want to make it like pretty much like, let's say you have like a moderate case of COVID, right? You know how like if you had like a flu, you would buy some like,
like Tylenol or whatever
or something. Yeah, they want to kind of make it like that. So where if you have COVID, it doesn't the symptoms don't go to an extreme. You could still be fine. Understood.
Okay, and real quick, so you guys heard? I mean, obviously now, California is requiring. I don't know if it's just the county of LA or it's a state in general.
It's LA County, the indoor.
LA County, right? Yeah. So they're requiring all businesses to require proof of vaccination before entering the store. I mean, I can give my thoughts, but I want to hear you guys' thoughts real quick.
I think it should be up to the business. That's my thought. That's pretty much my take.
To be just completely honest, I am just over this COVID stuff. Like, I don't know what's happening at this point. Yes, I'm aware of the recent, I think the city council passed this ordinance, right, where every single indoor bar, restaurant, store needs to require proof of vaccination. I mean, I haven't been to like a grocery store in a long time, but how does that work? Like, do you show before getting in? Everybody shows their vax card, and like,
that's ideally what's supposed to be happening, right? So okay, the place I've been to the last few days, people aren't even wearing masks. The employees aren't even wearing masks. Okay, and this is in LA County. So I think what's happening is so I completely disagree with this whole mandate thing of requiring, the businesses to receive proof of vaccination. I think it's completely horse shit because, like, look, I understand if a business wants to require it and say, hey, like, we're worried about this, we're worried
Yep.
about our employees, we're worried about our customers, but to force a business to be worried about it, that's just ridiculous to me. It shouldn't be forceful. It should be out of consideration. And if a company doesn't want to do that, they don't have to do that. It's under their discretion. They're a private entity. They're not public entities. So I just think it's horseshit how the government's continuously trying to force businesses to take on like what they think is right. Like, sure, maybe it is right to get the vaccine, but to force that ideology onto somebody, onto a business, and therefore that business is forcing it onto their employee and onto their customers is just ridiculous. And this is getting I agree with both of you. I think this whole COVID thing is completely out of proportion, and I don't think businesses should be required.
What's COVID again? What's COVID? No,
I don't know. That doesn't exist anymore.
But in all seriousness, I think I think I am much more concerned about the ignorance of a lot of Americans because our unvaccinated Americans are still high in population. And so what is it now? 40% of eligible Americans still haven't received the vaccine. That just doesn't make that's insane to me. So I don't know.
Well, everybody's eligible now.
No, but 40% of eligible people who can take the vaccine haven't taken it, right? I believe that's the around.
What I'm saying is everybody's eligible, right? So it's just 30 to 40% of everybody.
Right, you're right. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Like basically everyone's eligible now. Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm really torn about this issue. I don't know what's the right strategy here. I think every single strategy has failed. What DeSantis did in Florida, Governor DeSantis, open everything up and not care about COVID, that clearly didn't work. The New York model or the LA model where you have mandates and these shutdowns, that didn't work. I think a more moderate approach where I don't know how you would balance the side. I mean, it's very clear and cut to me, right? To mandate or not mandate, that's the question. So I really don't know what side to be on here. I guess we'll see, but just get vaccinated. Like what's the problem here? Like no one's trying to put anything in you.
Hey man, it's up to the people. It's up to the people, dude.
Let them do their own research, all right? They might do some peer
These guys, let them. There is okay. You know what? You're right. I mean, they have the right.
And that's what Kyrie said.
They're right, man. It's their right. Just let it.
What are they doing? Are they like reading all these scientific papers that the NHS releases or the World Health Organization? Nobody's researching. Nobody does their homework on
that's what Kyrie said. That's like the funniest comment. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do my own research and I'll think about it, right?" And I was like, "Bro, this dude's about to write like a peer-reviewed journal." Like, I was like, "What's going on?"
Are you having like trouble citing peer-reviewed journals before you like? What's going on here? I don't know, man. I just get the vaccine. It's so long.
Do what you want. I'm a believer, and you do what you want. It's the right thing, but I'm not gonna force it.
But at a certain point in time, though, it's the question to protect other people, like as a community. See, this is what I mean by we've talked
Matt,
about
this. Matt, I agree with you. Like honestly, I have that mindset too, where it's like just let people do what they want, right?
But
then I start thinking about like just basic stuff, right? Like when we were in elementary school, right? We had to get like fucking the vaccines for like so many different things. I remember, right? So why does that not apply anymore? Like I remember I got like 4 shots or something when I came here. And then like to get into elementary school, right? And like why is those vaccines mandated, but like COVID?
It's also your immune system. Okay, so just real quick. I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, answering your question. Your immune system is also a lot different when you're young, and it's a lot easier to get diseases and contract those types of things. I've got the vaccine myself. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I think that's the reason.
Yeah, all of us are vaccinated, by the way, if you're listening. We're not anti-vaxxers. We're just trying to express our opinions. But I will say, we've talked about this so much on the podcast, this concept of rugged individualism, toxic individualism. What you're saying, in my opinion, is toxic individuality.
Well, it's not toxic. Don't use the word
because if everybody just wants to do their own thing, then why even like have any social consensus, any social contract? Why even have a government? Let's just not.
Well, I disagree with the government, so I'm gonna play devil. I don't agree with what the government's doing right now. I think I've told you so many times. I think there's total turmoil in the government right now, and I'm over it.
Yeah, no, that's a fair opinion to have, but the alternative isn't to say, I'm not going to do what logic tells me to do, what science says. Listen, I think
Honestly,
we're at a crossroads. Like we haven't experienced a pandemic like this since the 1920, right? The 1920 pandemic. This it's been 100 years. It's a once in a century type of event. I think it's going to accelerate more and more. We're going to have more and more pandemics just because we're more globalized. But nonetheless, I think if taking the vaccine can save one person's life, why not just do it? It's about protecting a community of people, your fellow countrymen and countrywomen. So that's how I think of it. Like, what's the
nobody
big
cares about country, man. Everybody's shellfish, man. Dude, okay, first of all, dude,
bad?
hear me out, dude. Listen, all right. Okay. Honestly, I think I actually don't care anymore. I actually don't care. I actually think about this. I don't care because I don't care if they don't get vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. I'll be fine. I'm chilling. And my parents are vaccinated. They got the booster shot too. They're gonna be chilling. All these guys, if they don't want to get vaccines, they want to end up in hospitals. Hey man, that's all you, brother. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's move on. I'm over this. Okay, so real quick before we get to the metaverse, I want to talk about. Did you guys hear about Zillow? What the whole dilemma happened?
No, what
Okay,
happened?
so Zillow went under this whole like business proposal, not even proposal. It was a whole business action plan, and they acquired more than $670 million worth of worth of houses in the housing market. I'm not sure whether it's a global phenomena or just U.S. I should look that up. But if you want to look that up real quick, Janish. But what I will say is they looked up, so they acquired over 670 million based on an Excel sheet, right? So they said, hey, this is where the market's at. I'm gonna buy the house here, and it's projected to be, say 7% higher next year. And their action plan completely tanked. Completely tanked. They are completely under what they were supposed to be, and so they completely dismantled it. They're selling almost all of their property, and they still have millions of dollars worth of property to sell, so hundreds of millions of dollars worth of property to sell, and they're planning on selling it 5 to 7% lower than the market rate, and that's per property, right? So that's an extremely high amount of money. And you know what the CEO said? The CEO, all he said was, "We expected the Zillow housing market to be higher than what we anticipated." Those were his exact words. So they completely disanticipated what's happening right now, and they completely tanked. And it just shows how the housing market is not as predictable as the news is making it seem. The economy is making it seem like the housing market is just increasing. But unfortunately, that's not the way it works. Different economies, like you can say, like the town I live in within Downey. I live in Downey, right? And there's bubbles within Downey that are worth a certain amount of money. And just because Downey as a whole, say the average house in Downey is worth $700,000, doesn't mean the bubble I'm in is worth $700,000, right? Doesn't mean the average house in South Downey is worth $700,000. They could be less, they could be more. It's not a per square foot deal. A lot of houses have special little things added to them that adds value to their house. Their kitchen might have real marble inside, and that increases their value. It's not just based on price per square foot in the region you're in. And so it just shows how Zillow completely screwed up their whole action plan, and it's just extremely interesting to me. What do you think about that?
So were they trying to flip houses and it didn't work
Exactly.
out? So they were trying to
Exactly.
flip houses, and the value of these houses was, you said, $600 million or 400, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of
Hundreds of
houses.
millions total. It
So
was
their
about
plan was
670
to,
million
so like how individual people, flip houses all the time, they buy and flip. They wanted to
Yeah,
do it on a mega level,
on a mega
right?
level.
And why did it fail though?
It failed because they failed to realize that not all so essentially how it works is, if you don't do your due diligence per property, if you just do it on a price per square foot scale, then you're going to completely fail. Because as I was saying, like the houses they could be flipping, first off, right now we are in a extremely high housing market, right? And so you're looking at a housing flip, just say you're in LA, right? A house that you could be flipping could be worth $550,000. That's a lot of money, right? Not even the average house in America is $550,000. And so a lower quality house being that price. So whole point being, Zillow completely they didn't anticipate it. They saw the houses that they were basing it on a price per square foot, or they're basing it based off of their neighborhood or how they looked. Things that aren't very intricate. You got to look at different things. You got to look at cap rate. You got to look at the IRR on the property. It's not just based on your price per square foot. That's the most basic thing in real estate fundamentals, and it doesn't make any sense how one of the top real estate websites in the world made that mistake.
I really don't understand. Like you said, like these billion-dollar companies make these silly mistakes. They don't do their due diligence, and
It's insane.
It's wild.
But you know what that shows, Ibrahim? It shows that these billion-dollar companies and billion-dollar CEOs, what they believe, and most of the time it works out, that money rules, right? And so when you have money, it's a lot easier to make more money. And so when you have money and you want to make another business plan, it's a lot easier to make that business plan roll out. But I think what happened, and the major issue with this one, is that first off, there's not a major requirement. Like, you don't need to go buy millions of dollars worth of houses and flip them, right? So first off, there wasn't a need in the market for it. And they're toggling with the economy, right? So you're talking, sure, it's $670 million. That's a lot of money. But you're talking about trillions of dollars in the economy, which completely trumps the $670 million that they invested in it, right? And so when you toggle with something bigger than you are, that's when the downfall happens.
Yeah. Sounds like the downfall of Facebook, right? That's about to happen, right? Let's transition
let's
to
move
that.
in.
Because Jennifer, I think who wants to talk about the metaverse?
Sure, I'll talk about it. Or I guess I'll introduce it, right? So if you're hopefully not living under a rock, but Facebook has changed their name to Meta. And pretty much the whole idea is that it'll represent this metaverse, which is going to be a 3D virtual space that companies are going to create as sort of like a future version of the internet. That's the basic premise. Now, people are all saying, so I've talked to some friends about this, some friends who are actually in like computer science, and the whole idea is like some of them think it's a little too early for this type of technology, like a virtual world and stuff like that. We've seen like movies about like virtual reality and stuff like that, but some people think it's too early for this. Some people think it's a great idea. But first of all, like before we dive a little deeper, what do you guys think? What do you guys just think of like the idea itself? Not about maybe how it's going to impact their business, but just the idea of a 3D virtual space. It's kind of like a future of the internet.
Look, Mark Zuckerberg, no matter what anybody says about him, he's a visionary, right? I mean, he wanted, Facebook was only limited to Harvard students in the beginning, and then he, visualized why not open it to the rest of the world. And I would say he is one of the fathers, you could say, of modern day social media, right? And he kind of led this change to happen. So now that he's planning on having like the transition that you mentioned, I think it's a noble idea, and that's probably where we're headed. But is Facebook the right company to disrupt that industry and to, lead or pave the way? I don't know about that. I'm still wrestling with that, but for sure.
So just a little bit of background information. Facebook actually owns Oculus, I think that's the name, and Oculus is like one of the leading virtual headsets you have for like the virtual reality. I mean, so yeah, just background information. But yeah, Matt, do you have opinions?
Yeah, for sure. I get the concept. I do think it's a noble concept. Like it is going to change like how we interact, right, with each other. Even I think social media has changed the way we interact with each other, and furthering that, making like us virtual. I think it's going to further. I don't necessarily agree with the idea. I think I can't see. I'm thinking much further ahead, right? Because obviously we're at a standpoint where what Meta is going to do is we're going to be able to, Nike, they just bought 7 patents that involve the Meta. So, putting shoes on, trying shoes on, seeing how it looks based on your character, or what do they call it, avatar, based on your avatar. And then you can decide whether, it's a fit or not, or whatever it is. Or, there's other ideas out there where you can physically try on like the clothes, right? And so you don't have to go to Nordstrom, or you don't have to go to Nike to try on the clothes. And I understand that concept. I just don't agree with it's going to close retail stores down, right? And that's insane to me. You know, that's where a lot of like social interactions happen. That's where a lot of us just go to get out of the house. And you know, in previous podcasts, you might know, like, that's a big thing for me. I don't like just like the idea of sitting at home and, you know, that's all you're doing, right?
Matt, the traditionalist.
He likes the idea of bows
fair.
and arrows. He wants everyone to go back to a period where we didn't have cars. We had to walk to different places. We had to
Yeah,
go
exactly.
travel across continents through our ships, venture out in the world, and just talk amongst each other instead of.
Okay,
No,
well,
but
let's
no,
not take it that far, man.
okay, Matt.
Okay.
No, but let's remove your like classic kind of bias. So, you know, you like the old fashioned, right? What do you think of the idea just based on like maybe the business aspect of it, or do you think it'll be like successful? Do you think it'll stuck with like the new generation, I guess?
150%. Dude, I think it'll be successful, right? I just don't agree with how our world is advancing and evolving. That's my whole thing. I think it'll be successful. I think it's a smart endeavor business wise, right? Business wise, I think it's a smart endeavor. And I think it could be extremely lucrative for especially clothing companies and especially game. Dude, I think gaming is going to be next level with this kind of thing first, right? So I think this multi-billion-dollar industry it's going to extremely advance. I'm not a gamer myself. I don't game at all. And so I don't really necessarily will understand that concept, but I do think people will be enticed by it, and they'll definitely use it, and it'll definitely be profitable. I just don't agree with how everything's evolving, how everything's advancing.
Right. Okay. So, you know, I've talked to some of my friends, like some computer science friends, and we've kind of discussed how we think maybe the technology is not there yet. In terms of like not its social impacts, but just about the idea itself, right? We think like, hey, I don't know if the technology is there. Like, I don't know if everybody will be able to, you know, be in like a VR world right now or not. But what we kind of concluded with was that even if the technology is not there, I think these companies like Facebook, they want to be pioneers for this technology, right? They want to be the first ones there, because if they're the first ones there and this becomes like a multi-billion-dollar industry, they'll be the head of it, just like they were in social media, right? So right now, their social media revenues are crazy. They're still doing great. But, you know, they're thinking 10, 20, 30 years into the future. If something happens 10, 20 years where, you know, social media starts like falling down, well, they'll have this. This will be like the new thing. So I think what like Matt said, genius business idea. I don't know if the technology right now will, you know, make its implementation great, but 10, 20 years down the future, I think actually 5 to 10 years, because technology is advancing super fast. So 5, 10 years down in the future, I think it'll be amazing.
So Janice, real quick. So what isn't there? Is the bandwidth not there? Like, can we not? Because obviously we're all capable of, we're not capable of it, but it's possible where we can make a clone of ourselves, an avatar, right, and put ourselves in a world. I mean, like, I think Fortnite does that, right? What's not there? Like, why can't we go ahead and make a free roam world and we all participate in that world?
Yeah, so first of all, I don't know if you like ever played a virtual reality game, but if you do, like if you've played a high graphic one where, you know, like things feel like real and stuff, like the high graphic ones.
I haven't played, but okay.
A lot of them don't even exist because there's not that many like super high resolution virtual reality games and stuff. But you need like a powerful computer or powerful like system, and then you need a big headphone over you, and then you need to be in that room. You can't, you know, just be portable around. I don't know. See, this is the thing. I don't know what Facebook is trying to go for. I think what I'm envisioning is like you just have your phone and you just go out anywhere, and you could just be in real world and then transfer into like the virtual world. That's what I'm imagining. I think that's what they're trying to do. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if the technology is there right now, but that's pretty much what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. Okay.
So it's a computing problem. Our computers are just, the technology is too expensive. The average family can't afford it. And this is something that will probably happen in the future when the technology becomes much more cheaper and more efficient and much more common, right?
That's my initial outlook, but maybe they have some things they've planned out which is way different from the way I'm envisioning what they're trying to do. But yeah.
Well, I talk about Kathy Wood, I think every single podcast, ARK Invest, but she's heavily invested into virtual reality and gaming.
The godmother.
Yeah, no, she is the godmother, you could say, right? I mean, like, wow, what an investor. No, but I'm pretty sure I'm invested in some ETFs that are giving me some gains about this VR industry. But no, I think it is going to happen faster than we think, though, because the pandemic, COVID really accelerated technological changes. I mean, we look at this. We're in a virtual world on a laptop on a Zoom, right? This is a virtual world that we can see each other. It's already here. The revolution is already here. It's just this is the next step that's just more logical, and we are just going to become a much more antisocial.
Which I voted against, by the way. I want to do in person, but
also, just real quick, one more thing. I don't know. I mean, I always talk about this every podcast. We always talk about AI and stuff, but Matt was mentioning like, oh, I want to be everything in person stuff. AI in 5 or 10 years, I think it's gonna be insane. I'm gonna be honest. Like some of the advancements these companies are making right now, it's like crazy. And in 5 to 10 years, AI, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm actually scared. I think jobs are gonna be disappearing left and right. It's actually kind of scary.
Dude, you know what? Maybe I take that back. I hope everybody gets into this virtual world, and I hope everybody just gets like consumed into this metaverse thing and just like plays around, because that'll mean maybe the environment will get a little bit cleaner. And when I go travel to Australia, not as many people are there, and I get to enjoy the fruits of my labor and go and travel the world and see things without it being extremely packed. So go ahead, please join the metaverse. Join Mark Zuckerberg's his trek to make this metaverse and be consumed. Less people surf him. Thanks.
Mark Zuckerberg, did you guys see his launch interview? He is such a bad salesman. Like the way he was talking about the metaverse was so
dude, yes,
like it
so
kind of almost made me
uncomfortable.
I didn't watch it, but I can imagine this dude's like a lizard person.
Dude, he's just like uncomfortable, man. Like it's just weird. I don't know if it's just like he's just antisocial or he lacks
he definitely has some sort of social anxiety disorder or something like that. He's very socially awkward. He always has been. I mean, come on, since the early days of Facebook. It's all right, man. He's a billion.
I mean, he's probably like just like an introvert, like a classic introvert.
Yeah. It's just his
maybe it's Asperger's.
I don't know about that.
I don't think so, but he probably has a condition. It's fine. He is a billionaire. He has the resources to address
it's like the second richest or whatever top 10 richest person.
It is a little weird though, like to see him talk about these things and then see what Facebook has been doing, hiding all the research.
Dude,
right?
you know what's crazy? Like Facebook already has so much information on us. After the metaverse, they'll have like our height, our fucking waist length, our eye color, like that everything.
Scary, yeah.
Like, it's gonna be insane.
So okay, so even further than that, man. So I was reading about the metaverse. So another thing they're trying to track is like our personality traits. And so like I'm 5'6", right? 5'7". And so like if I go on to make an avatar, right, and I put that I'm like 6 foot, for example, that not only tracks like, first off, I'm lying, right? They don't know I'm lying, but that shows that I feel like I'm a high level negotiator. Okay. If I'm put like I'm a little thinner than I am, that shows like some insecurity aspect or whatever it may be, right? But it tracks like personality traits, and not necessarily will like maybe somebody that's actually 6 foot that maybe they don't think they're a high level negotiator, and maybe they're actually putting their height, but they're setting these like categorical phases to like see what kind of people are doing what. And I think that's insane.
If they actually go through with that, that's actually like psychopathic.
They'll be tracking their psychology.
That's actually. I don't think I would be comfortable joining the metaverse.
Right, because they know you, man. They are you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean Facebook already knows me, bro. Like I say something and then that's the ad that shows up on Instagram.
Yeah,
freaking weird world, man. Weird, crazy world.
And we're just small little ants that are trying to pave our way.
Dude, okay, another thing real quick. So this is just kind of like the significance of human beings, since we're talking about that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know who it was. I think it was a telescope in China that saw it, but they discovered a new element that's 12 million light years away. You heard about this, fluorine? And so check this out. So fluoride is in our teeth, right? Like, and fluoride is in our toothpaste, and that's what kind of makes our teeth white and all. But this element that's in our teeth, it was tracked 12 million light years away. And what happened was there was a massive explosion of a planet, and somehow years and obviously millions of years ago, maybe even billions of years ago, it ended up being on Earth, and some being ended up consuming it, right? And it ended up being our teeth. Like that's just maybe not being our teeth, but it's part of our teeth, right? Like that's insane to me. That's something that was 12 million light years away can be tracked back to Earth and tracked back to humans, right? Like we're thousands of years old, right? If not millions of years old. I'm not saying humans are millions of years old, but like us as a being are millions of years old. And that's insane to me. How things are continuously being founded and space is continuously expand. I don't
It's
wanna get into
crazy.
This is deep.
No, it's crazy. No, but one more thing, just like I read a news story also that they've just found the first exoplanet outside the Milky Way. I think it was 26 million light years away, which was outside the Milky Way galaxy, which is actually insane.
This
That
is why.
bizarre.
This is some.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, this is some, some things, we need to take some LSD, go to Yosemite with a telescope and talk
Did you
about.
say
You know what I mean?
exoplanet? Is that what you said?
Yeah, exoplanet. So like a planet outside of. I mean, yeah, I guess it's just a planet. You could just say a planet.
This is why NASA, since we talk about government, is my favorite governmental agency, because they're investing actually a lot in astrobiology. And what you just mentioned, right, the element part of that they discovered a living element feature in 12 million light years away. I think so I'm one of those people that believes that there's life in other planets, and we're eventually going to discover it. It just can't be. Our universe is so expansive. It can't be that we're the only living beings. It has to be something else out there.
It'd
Other
be selfish to think
civilizations.
we're the only living things, right? In the world this big.
Honestly, we need a astrology, like we need to get someone with like a cosmos background to come on the podcast.
True.
I would be so interested in talking for like 3 hours about this type of stuff.
That'd
We
be
should
awesome.
make it happen. Yeah.
I'll look into that. Yeah. So I do think like this whole like with astrology in general, I think more money needs to be dumped into it. I remember this is something in 8th grade, right? It's just something that stuck with me. My 8th grade, a science teacher was talking about how this was when. Do you remember when that half-mile meteor was coming towards Earth? Do you guys remember that? And it was like a few hundred miles away, but if it hit Earth, it would have caused catastrophic like dilemmas.
Yeah.
Did
No,
you
I
remember that?
this.
Okay, so my science teacher was talking about how just a sum of 500, I want to say 500,000. It was like 500, like something like insignificant, right? And the government would not allow NASA to take that money up. They would not allow it. And so at the time, I'm sure it's a lot more right now, but at the time we were able to recognize 0.01% of all asteroids orbiting around Earth or a certain radius around Earth. And with that $500,000 worth of technology, we could bump that up to 2%. So obviously at the time we were able to see a lot, or we thought we were able to see a lot. So imagine, multiplying that by 200% to create that 2%, and the government didn't allow it. Like, we have hundreds of millions of dollars. Oh my God, we said we were saying astrology. We meant astronomy. Sorry, guys. But anyway, but imagine we actually did have that money and like a lot of things that, Jesus Christ, I feel like I can't believe we said that.
Yeah, we're talking about Aries and Pisces.
Have we been saying astrology?
I think so.
I can't believe
I'm sleep deprived. My apologies.
Regardless, guys, point being, the government should allocate more money to space so we can see these kinds of things ahead of time.
Are you sure, or do we need to invest more in astrology? Because that's also good.
Maybe you're right, dude. Maybe I need to see what a Libra really means.
I could tell you, bro.
Dude, you know what I heard actually about astrology? I heard that there's people talking about what time you're born. Like that means something as well.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
No,
I
nonsense.
didn't know that.
No, that's a big thing in astrology, like the what time you're born and like even like what moon phases and stuff like that.
No, I don't know what that means. I don't even know what a moon phase is.
Can I say something?
Like of the month.
I know crescent and whatever, right?
Yeah.
Remember when you said that we're so selfish? Astrology is the most selfish study.
Astronomy.
Astrology.
Gotcha. Okay,
Come on, man.
I thought you were talking about astronomy. Sorry.
No. Astrology is actually so stupid. You're so selfish. You're thinking about what month you were born in has some importance, like some time. Billions of people have been born, but your particular time means something. It means that you're gonna have a bad day today or a good day. It makes zero sense. But
it does. I agree. The only thing I will say about it, it's like kind of it's I don't agree with astrology at all, but kind of what Nietzsche says about Christianity, it kind of gives people a purpose and it kind of gives people like a reason to keep going. Astrology is kind of the same
What
thing.
purpose though? Because there's
But
good and bad
I
days.
don't think there's a purpose. I personally don't think so. But if people like enjoy it and that's what gives them, because I think there's like I've seen like girls, obviously there's stories on Instagram saying your daily affirmation, and it's like today March 16th, this is gonna happen, right? Like like I see that all the time, right? And if that's what they look forward to in the next day, like more power to you. That's what you look forward to. Like I agree with that. Like go for it, queen. Like whatever.
You go, queen. Yes, queen.
All right, I think we should just end the podcast. We're just talking
Let's
about
wrap up, guys. I'm tired.
Okay.